Imagine sitting down for a quick lunch, something you prepared just yesterday. You're being practical, you're saving money, you're making sure nothing goes to waste. You pop that plate into the microwave, hear the familiar hum, and wait for the beep. But what if I told you that in those 60 seconds, a silent, invisible chemical transformation is happening? What if that simple act of reheating is turning your healthy dinner into a direct trigger for one of the most aggressive diseases known to man? It sounds like a nightmare, doesn't it? But for many of us, this is a daily reality. I've read your comments. I see the fear and the confusion. One woman shared that she's 78 years old and has used her microwave every single day, wondering if it's too late to change. Another man mentioned he's been eating reheated rice for decades to save on a tight budget. I hear you. You're tired of being told that everything causes cancer. You feel like there's nothing left to eat but rainwater. Listen carefully, because I am not here to tell you to stop eating. I am here to warn you about 4 very specific kitchen traps that are quietly accumulating damage in your body, specifically targeting your pancreas and your gut. This is about the biochemistry that happens the second time heat touches your food. I am Dr. Danzy, and today, I'm done staying quiet. I've sat across from too many patients who looked at me with tears in their eyes and asked, "Why did nobody warn me about this sooner?" Your pancreas is a silent organ. It doesn't ache when it's under attack. It doesn't swell up to give you a sign. By the time someone notices the back pain or the sudden weight loss, the damage has often been done for years. Did you know that the 5-year survival rate for pancreatic cancer is only about 12%? This isn't a disease that gives you a second chance. Prevention isn't just a good idea. It is the only strategy that consistently saves lives. And for those of you who feel overwhelmed, like everything makes us sick, I want to offer you hope. You don't have to change your entire life. You just need to change 4 specific habits. One man wrote to me saying his favorite uncle passed away from pancreatic cancer, and now, looking back, he sees the pattern. The constant reheating of oils, the large batches of rice, the processed meats. He's 66 now, and terrified he's already followed in those footsteps. If you've felt that same knot in your stomach, stay with me. This is important. Before we name the foods, you must understand the chemical reset. When you cook food the first time, your body can usually handle the small amount of byproducts created. But when you apply heat a second time, the protective antioxidants are gone. The biological buffers are destroyed. It's like trying to put out a fire with a cup of water while someone else is pouring gasoline on the other side. The first food on our list is the one that surprises almost everyone, and it's the one many of you mentioned in the comments. You think you're being healthy, you're trying to get your iron and your vitamins, but if you are reheating your spinach, kale, or celery, you might be triggering a nitrate explosion. In their fresh state, the nitrates in these leafy greens are wonderful for your blood pressure. But here is the twist. Once they are cooked and left to sit, even in the fridge, bacteria start converting those nitrates into nitrites. When you hit them with heat again in the microwave, those nitrites transform into nitrosamines. These are documented carcinogens. I saw a comment from a woman who said she's been adding kale and spinach to her soups and reheating them for days. She asked, "How many times have I done this?" If that's you, don't panic. Start tonight by doing this. If you have leftover greens, eat them cold in a salad. Cold doesn't drive the reaction. Heat does. But what about the food that everyone knows is a bit risky, but we do it anyway because it's so convenient? I'm talking about processed meats, sausages, bacon, deli ham. If you're like the many seniors who wrote in saying they reheat a couple of sausages every morning for breakfast, you need to hear what happens to those preservatives when they are microwaved on high. It's not just about the salt, it's about the chemical acceleration. These meats already contain precursors to cancer. When you reheat them, you aren't starting with a clean slate, you are multiplying the toxins. One woman shared that her brother-in-law never ate leftovers and still got sick, and that is a valid point. Cancer is complex, but why would we ever choose to add more fuel to the fire? And then there is the oil. I've seen so many of you mention the oil jar on the stove. It was a tradition for generations to save the oil from the fried chicken to cook the eggs the next morning. It made everything taste better, right? But the chemistry of that oil is breaking down. Every time it's reheated, it produces aldehydes, toxic compounds that literally scorch your DNA. This is especially dangerous for those of you who love eating out at fast food restaurants. They don't change that oil every hour. They reheat it over and over. If you've been feeling sluggish or heavy after these meals, your body is trying to tell you something. But the fourth food, the one that caused the most shock in the comments, it's not about chemicals or oils. It's about a hidden passenger that survives the boiling water and waits for you to make one specific mistake. It's the rice sitting in your refrigerator right now. Most people think that as long as the rice is hot, it's safe. They think the microwave kills everything. But there is a secret living inside those grains that heat cannot touch. And if you've been cooking large batches of rice to save time, you might be exposing your gut to chronic inflammation every single week. Do you know what stays behind even after the steam rises from your plate? Most people find it hard to believe. How can something as simple as white rice be a hidden danger? I saw a comment from one man who said he buys rice by the quart and eats it for 3 days straight, sometimes hot, sometimes cold. He's been doing it since the 60s. If you're nodding your head because you do the same, listen very carefully to this next part, because it's not the rice itself that's the enemy. It's a sleeper cell called Bacillus cereus. These are bacteria spores that actually survive the initial boiling process. They are tough. They are patient. When you leave that pot of rice on the counter to cool down slowly, which I know many of you do because you were taught not to put hot food in the fridge, those spores wake up. They begin to multiply, and more importantly, they produce toxins. Now, here is the micro trap that catches everyone. You think, I'll just microwave it until it's piping hot and that will kill the germs. You're right, the heat kills the bacteria. But the toxins they already produced, they are heat stable. They are like chemical ghosts that stay in the food no matter how long you heat it. In the short term, this causes that upset stomach we often blame on something I ate. But for my seniors, the risk is deeper. Repeated weekly exposure to these toxins causes chronic inflammation in your gut lining, and as any doctor will tell you, chronic inflammation is the soil in which gastrointestinal cancers grow. One woman wrote in saying her family history is riddled with cancer, and she's the last of 8 sisters. She's 80 now and terrified. To her and to you, I say, this is why we don't cook for the whole week anymore. We cook what we need and we cool it fast. I know what you're thinking. Dr. Danzy, you've just taken away my spinach, my morning sausage, my fried treats, and my rice. What am I supposed to eat? I hear the frustration. One viewer said, I guess I'll just sit in the corner and stare at the wall. I'm not trying to scare you into starving. I'm trying to give you the kitchen defense plan, because the truth is, you don't have to give these foods up. You just have to change how you treat them after they are cooked. Take the reheating oil issue. I've seen many of you ask in the comments, what about restaurants? They reuse oil all day. You are absolutely right. Fast food joints and even some nice restaurants are the biggest offenders. This is why so many of you feel bloated and tired after eating out. When that oil is heated and cooled and heated again, it creates acrylamides and aldehydes that damage your DNA directly. One man mentioned his favorite Uncle Jesse probably died from pancreatic cancer because they always had a container of reused oil on the stove. That was the flavor of the generation, but that flavor comes with a heavy price. If you want to protect your heart and your DNA, you must be the gatekeeper of your own kitchen. Now, let's talk about the solution for the nitrate explosion in your greens. You don't have to stop eating spinach. It's one of the best things for your aging brain and eyes. The secret? If you have leftovers, eat them cold. Throw that cold cooked spinach into a smoothie or on top of a fresh salad. By skipping the microwave, you stop the chemical conversion into those dangerous nitrosamines. It's a tiny change that yields a massive reward for your longevity. And for the rice, the rule is simple, the 1-hour window. After you cook it, get it into the fridge within 60 minutes. Don't wait for it to reach room temperature. Modern refrigerators can handle a warm bowl of rice. By cooling it fast, you keep those sleeper cell spores from ever waking up. But there is one more thing, a mistake that almost every senior I know makes because we were raised to be practical and not wasteful. It's the way we use the microwave for everything. Did you know that the way a microwave heats, creating those hot spots, actually makes the chemical breakdown in processed meats and oils even worse? One woman mentioned she's lazy and eats everything cold from the fridge, and she joked she'll live to be 100. Honestly, she might be onto something. But I haven't told you the most important part yet. There is one specific habit, something most of you do right before bed with your leftovers, that is the master switch for how your body processes these toxins. If you get this one thing wrong, all the fresh spinach in the world won't save your energy levels tomorrow. Are you starting to see the pattern? Are you noticing these habits in your own kitchen? Before I reveal the golden rule for leftovers that I tell all my private patients, I want to address a question I saw from a 70-year-old viewer. He asked, "Is it too late for me? Is the damage already done?" The answer will change the way you look at your next meal. Part 3. Is it ever too late? That 70-year-old man who asked that question in the comments. He's speaking for millions of you. You feel like the reheat button has been part of your life for so long that the damage must be permanent. But here is the miracle of the human body, especially as we age. Your cells are constantly trying to repair themselves. When you stop the chemical insult, you give your liver and your pancreas a chance to breathe. Think of it like a busy highway. For years, you've been throwing debris onto the road. Of course, there are accidents, but the moment you stop throwing the debris, the cleanup crew can finally get to work. By making these changes tonight, you aren't just preventing future disease, you are lowering the daily toxic load that makes you feel sluggish, bloated, and foggy-headed. Now let's talk about that golden rule I promised. It's about the double heat curse. I saw a comment from someone who cooks a big pot of chili or stew and reheats the whole pot every night for 4 days. Listen to me, this is the most dangerous way to handle leftovers. Every time you heat that entire pot, you are cycling those nitrates, oils, and proteins through the toxin transformation again. By the 4th day, you aren't eating food, you're eating a concentrated chemical soup. If you must cook in batches to save money, and I know with today's prices we have to be smart, the secret is portion control before the cold. Never reheat the whole pot. Take out only what you will eat right now and heat that portion once. One heat, one time. That's the limit. I want to address a very honest comment I saw from a man who said, "I grew up dirt poor, we didn't have the luxury to pick and choose. I've reheated things a gazillion times." My friend, you are not alone. Most of us were raised with the waste not, want not mindset. But I want you to shift that thinking. Wasting a few cents of leftover rice is much cheaper than the cost of a hospital stay. Your health is the most valuable asset you have left. Don't trade it for a 50-cent serving of leftovers. And for those of you asking about the microwave specifically, I saw a comment saying, "Microwaves destroy everything." It's not that the microwave is evil, it's that it's inefficient. It creates pockets of extreme heat. If you're reheating that leftover sausage, the outside might reach temperatures that turn those preservatives into carcinogens, while the inside is still lukewarm. If you absolutely must reheat meat, use a toaster oven or a pan on the stove at a low, steady heat. It takes 5 minutes longer, but it prevents that chemical flashpoint that the microwave triggers. I want to tell you about one man I saw in my clinic. He was 68, struggling with constant indigestion and mystery fatigue. He thought he needed more pills. I told him to do one thing: stop reheating his fried fish and his rice. 2 weeks later, he came back. He didn't just feel better, he said his brain fog had lifted. He didn't realize that his body was spending all its energy fighting off those low-level bacterial toxins and aldehydes every single afternoon. You see, your digestion is the engine of your independence. When your gut is inflamed, you don't absorb vitamins. When you don't absorb vitamins, your muscles get weak. When your muscles get weak, you lose your balance. It all connects back to what is happening on that plate in your kitchen. So here is your Start Tonight checklist. It's simple, it's honest, and it works. The greens rule: if it's spinach, kale, or celery, eat it fresh or eat it cold. Never let it see the microwave twice. The rice protocol: cool it within an hour and only reheat it once until it is steaming hot. If it's been in the fridge longer than 24 hours, let it go. The oil exit: if you fried it once, don't fry it again, and please, toss that old oil jar. Your heart will thank you tomorrow morning. The meat limit. If it's processed meat, cook only what you'll eat. If there's a leftover slice of ham, eat it cold in a sandwich. I saw a comment from someone saying, "I'm going to share this with my family chat." Please do that, because your kids and grandkids are doing this too, and they have even more decades of accumulation ahead of them. Now I want to hear from you. I've covered the 4 foods that surprised you most. Many of you said rice and spinach were the shockers, but I want to know which of these 4 habits will be the hardest for you to change. Is it the rice? Is it the morning sausage? Drop a comment below and tell me how old you are and where you're watching from. I read these because they tell me what you need to know next. And trust me, you don't want to miss the next conversation. We're going to talk about 5 healthy breakfast foods that are actually spiking your blood sugar and stealing your energy before 10 a.m. If you haven't yet, tap that subscribe button. It's the easiest way to make sure you keep getting the owner's manual for your body that you should have been given years ago. I'm Dr. Danzy. Cook fresh, stay safe, and remember, it is never too late to give your body a second chance. I'll see you in the next one.